yesterday and got to put the game to bed, and also got to work with some young players, try to watch a lot of tape and move forward. Big week for us to do a couple things. Number one, get better. Number two, get healthier. And number three, keep improving in areas that we definitely need to. So it's good to be at this week of the season, but looking forward, there's potentially, there's definitely 5 more weeks, and then there's possibly 6, possibly 10 more games. So it could be 10 more games moving forward, could be 5 games moving forward, who knows? But we got to prepare for that this week, and we'll take that on in a very organized fashion, which we've already begun as a staff.
Yeah, Kirby, what was your reaction to seeing Billy let go at Florida, and how does it change, if anything, Florida prep, given he was their offensive play caller?
First of all, I have a lot of respect for Billy. I've known Billy a long time. We were on staff together at Alabama. I like Billy a lot. I think Billy is very intelligent, very well organized. His attention to detail is at a really high level. He's a guy that thinks things out really well. I think they've recruited well and done a good job. I hate it in this profession. We all know what we sign up for, and Billy understands that. As far as how that affects the matchup, it probably affects it more than a 1-week window, but in a 2-week window, there's still only so much you can do. They'll make changes, and a lot of times you inject some energy when you do that. You look across the country at guys that have had interim coaches. They've had some really big wins and had a lot of energy. I know Coach Gonzalez is doing a great job. I've had respect for him, going against him many years. They've got a really good staff. So I hate to say it, I'm not worried about them, I'm worried about us.
Coach, when you talk about improvements, and I guess this is maybe a little bit extensive when you talk about the defensive side, but what are the main areas there on defense you're looking to improve, and how are you going to try to take this off week to try to address that?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's just as many offensive and defensive and special teams. I know for the outside world looking in, it's easy to say, well, you don't punt and then you don't stop anybody for 90% of the game. You can put point a lot of fingers, but you can go a week before that and a week before that, and there's issues in both areas. I mean, at Auburn, we had our issues really on both sides of the ball, and we're not a complete product. We have a long way to go to get where we need to go, but we know who we are. We know what we need to work on. We know what we need to improve on. And, contrary to a lot of people's belief, it's not necessarily some of the areas that people believe. It's different areas, and we know what they are. And like I said, after the Alabama game, I found out a lot more about our team in that game and the games to follow. It's just trying to improve in certain areas and get incrementally better.
Yeah, because with the secondary in particular, as you've evaluated them and some of the issues I guess they've had, how much do you feel like it's on you guys as coaches and putting those guys in the best position to succeed, and how much of it is just guys need to execute better when the ball comes their way?
I don't see it like you guys do. I don't see it as totally a secondary issue. Might be for the fan, the average fan, or whoever looks out there. I just don't look at it as it's completely a secondary issue. There's a lot of factors in the things that we can improve on, and we're going to improve on. We're going to keep getting better. We had, I think, 9 or 10 of the first 29 plays were 2nd and 7 or greater. I don't know that I've coached in many games that you hold a really good offense to 2nd and 7 and greater 9 times. The issue is you lose those every time, and you don't get any 3rd and longs. We were 100% on 3rd and 8 or greater the other day. We just didn't get enough of them. So you have to find ways to do that and do that well. I mean, the opening drive, you go through the opening drive, we have a 3rd and 7, in which we have a bang-bang man-to-man play. You have a 3rd and 4, we have an error on. Then you have a 3rd and 7 where we have an unblocked player into a quarterback draw. Like, you got to be really careful how you do things and what you respond to in terms of, are we getting better at us and what we do? Are we getting better at tackling? Are we getting better at free access? Are we getting better at second long so that we have more third long? There's so many things that go into it that we got to improve on. But I don't look at it and say, oh, we got a poor secondary. I don't think that at all. I think we've got really good cover guys, and we got to put them in situations to be able to be successful.
Kirby, how are Talon and Kyron both doing with their injuries? How long, do you have a timetable for how long they're going to be out? And then I'm assuming Colby's going to be out with the fractured leg. Just want to get confirmation on that.
Yeah, all three of those guys will be out.
Big play on Saturday with Josh McCray getting the fourth down pickup, second effort to get there. One, just how big of a play was that in the game, and just what Josh has been able to do going further and further into this season.
Yeah, it was a huge play. I thought the second effort made the play for him. That's who he is. He's a second effort guy. He's extremely tough to tackle, yards after contact guy. He's given us sometimes what we don't have in terms of yards after contact, and he continues to get better. I mean, we've got to do a really good job of finding roles for him to be able to help our team, and find roles for Dwight to help our team and use the weapons we have.
Coach, you've already faced a good amount of dynamic quarterbacks this year, including this weekend. You have some more coming up. How do you say the position has evolved over the last decade or so?
Yeah, I guess it has. I mean, there's more running quarterbacks now than there ever has been. There've always been those guys, but there's more offenses utilizing their design runs now. There's a little bit of a fad going across the country right now of quarterback design runs that are giving not just us, every defense problems in terms of there's a running quarterback and then there's design runs for quarterbacks, and they've become the college football way to run the ball, because as defenses evolved, they stopped the run outside of a few teams, and then teams said, okay, you stop the run, and then I'm gonna run with this guy. But then when you get a guy that can throw it as efficiently as he can run it, then you get into some tough situations.
Coach, obviously Kobe's gonna be out. He's a senior. Just what are your feelings, seeing him go down, and what did it kind of mean to that room? Obviously, you guys have some young guys in that room that could use his leadership over the next couple of weeks. What are your expectations of him?
The expectations of him first and foremost to take care of his foot, leg, his ankle. He is an incredible kid. What he's meant to this team, because I think his experience the year before, to know what he missed out on, and to see his work ethic to get back, his leadership throughout camp, his willingness to do anything to help the team. He had the best camp I think any receiver's ever had since I've been at Georgia, in terms of day one to practice 25 before the first game. The physicality, the ownership, the accountability, the willingness to play positions, and then it was slowly coming out in the season with his play. We found that he was one of the hardest guys to tackle, so his touches went up. He was the best point of attack blocker. He was the best vertical guy, and it's unfortunate that it happened. It's part of football. I reassured him that his work that he put in was noticed, and that's what he can control. Now he has to control getting healthy.
Coach, kind of a two-part question. One, I know you don't always agree with the PFF grades, but it reflected Elijah Griffin had one of his better games. And then two, you talked at the beginning of the year about coaching up the bottom of the roster in today's portal era. Could you comment on Elijah Griffin and how you feel like a lot of those young guys are doing now that it's the second half of the season?
Yeah, Elijah particularly is getting better. I don't necessarily know what PFF response you're talking about, or what grade they're talking about. I mean, in terms of disruptive nature, he has a really powerful. He's one of our strongest guys as a freshman. He's really quick. He can be disruptive. We're trying to utilize the skill set. He's playing more and more snaps. He's probably maybe our, I don't know, second or third leading snap getter in the front as a freshman, and I don't know that that's ever happened. So he's getting snaps, and he's getting better each and every week. So I just love the kid's work ethic. He still has some plays that he might not execute the right way, but I mean, I love the way he plays. I love the the kind of energy he brings to that group, and he's so humble. And he's I'm expecting him to have a big back half of the season. A lot of those freshmen are coming along. I don't know who in particular you're talking about, but all those guys are getting better, and that's their job, is to find a way to put themselves in position to help this team, and we don't know which guy's up next.
Yeah, y'all talk so much about cross-training guys on both sides of the ball. How much is that something that y'all explore during bye weeks, and then versus is that really just, you know, an off-season spring practice kind of thing?
Define cross-training.
You know, like a corner working more in safety, you know, an outside receiver working more in slot, just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we I mean, I can't say we work corners at safety. We don't do a ton of that unless we have a need. I can't say we take receivers. We do have guys that play in the slot situationally based on plays, and some slots play outside. Like Zach has plays where he goes outside and he's inside. I wouldn't call it cross training. I would call it getting your best players on the field and trying to find a way to get them touches. We're always going to do that. No line, they do work across between left and right. We've had to do that a bunch this year. So we do whatever we think gives us the best chance to win football games.
You've been talking for some time about the shrinking margin in the game and in the SEC. As we look now, we see Indiana, Vanderbilt in the top 10 of the top 25. We see 8 SEC teams with no more than 1 loss at this stage. Has the impact been even more dramatic than you had expected, or conversely, are we just beginning to see more parity that you've compared to the NFL?
Yes, and yes. I mean, I think all those things are true. I can't tell you why. I know they are, and kind of felt it was coming as the rosters assemble each year. You know, there's probably going to be an outlier somewhere that somebody, you know, has some an elite group or hits on the right guys at the right positions. Typically, it's usually a quarterback or somebody that just blows it up and is a dynamic player. But that's the life that we're in. That's the world that we're in. I don't know that it's going to change. I think it's football. It's more interesting because games that are tighter are more interesting than games that aren't. So it's probably the way that it's headed.
Yeah, as a coach, what are some ways over your time here, and coaches in general, improve on things like game management in terms of red zone sequencing, clock management, 4th down aggressiveness?
I'm still not understanding the question. I want to be clear I answered it. So you're asking me personally, or
Just a coach
in general?
Just a coach in general.
How do you get better at it?
Yeah.
Experience it. I mean, how does a quarterback get better at playing quarterback? It ain't just through practice. It's through the real live reps. How does a corner get better at playing the deep ball? It's real live reps. You know, how does the lineman get better? I mean, I firmly believe that you get better at those things the more you experience them. There's no game simulator we can put people in and they come out 4 hours later and they're 5 years advanced. You know, it's time invested. It's self-analysis, self-quality control, which we do a lot of, and those things make you better.
Coach, I know the bye week, you typically focus on yourself, but you look a little bit ahead to Florida, particularly after coming out of that, I guess, kind of a circus environment, marquee win, high. You try to make sure your team doesn't settle into the complacency thing that you guard against so much.
Yeah, we're going to work on what we do every bye week, which is us and our opponents. Like, part of working on us is the opponents. So, I mean, we worked yesterday on opponents. We're working today on opponents. We're working today on ourselves. We're working on Florida. We're working on other opponents we have coming down the road because we think it's important to do that and get exposure to something that's different. And you don't want to be in unfamiliar territory when you've got these games on these short weeks when you have time right now to look at it. So yes, we're going to be working on Florida. Yes, we're working on opponents, and yes, we're working on us.
DeMello had the big pass breakup in the 4th quarter. What did you think about how he handled that moment, and then just the progressions he has made over the course of this season?
Yeah, he's strong, physical, heavy-handed. He does well in man-to-man situations. He has confidence to put his hands on people and cover them, and a really good basketball player in high school. He's growing and developing as a corner. He's growing and developing as a nickel cover guy. He's very open to being uncomfortable and learning, which I think is important at that position. He's only tip of the iceberg of what he can learn to play inside. He's been developing outside, but he continues to grow and get better, and as long as he takes the right mindset towards that, he can be a good football player. What you worry about is, he's had some success, he's had some penalties, sometimes he's gotten beat, but what he hadn't done is let any of that change him.
Just want to ask about the progression of C.J. Wiley, how he looked in practice. He's someone moving forward with some of these injuries. You can see a bigger role for him.
Yeah, CJ's got size and speed. We knew that when we recruited him. He had a couple really good days in fall camp where he made plays on vertical passing game. He reps, and he's probably the one guy that spends the most time up with our guys and less time with the scouts, where those guys that go down with the scouts, they get tons of reps and they get tons of work and they get to go against the better defensive players. He's been in the rotation with our offense down there in practices, learning a little more of that game plan stuff, nuances of what we're doing, splits, what we're doing here, so that he has a chance to help us. But he continues to get better. I'm proud of where he's at in terms of getting better, and he's got lots of opportunities this week to continue to grow and show us what he can do.
Yeah, what'd you make of how Ja'Cory Thomas did on Saturday, and in general, how do you feel about that safety spot opposite KJ Bolton?
Yeah, he did some good things. He's been playing already. He just played more snaps. He's got to continue to get better, more consistent. But I'm pleased with what he's doing.
Coach, just what's been your impressions of Josh Wharton and Xavier McLeod? Obviously, they both have transferred into this program. Xavier's in year 2, but Josh comes from Lexington Hughes, who has a great weight training program. Just what have you seen of those two? They were both on the field late in that game on Saturday. Yeah,
I was proud of both those guys. They had huge plays in the game, momentum plays. That any one of those plays you have earlier in the game and you get a stop. You get a third down batted ball. It's as good as a sack in terms of momentum. And both those guys have had a lot of success in our camp early, batting balls, getting hands up, pushing the pocket, stopping the run. Josh gives us a little more quickness element, and continues to grow and develop in our system. And he's worked really hard to contribute, and Zay the same way.
Got time for one more question?
Coach, we'll go back to the Auburn game real quick. Whenever y'all decided to put Monroe in that game for Bo, kind of what was the conversation like with Monroe? I believe you said at the time that Monroe was pretty insistent he was ready to go and ready to get in, no matter how bad he might still be feeling.
Yeah, he didn't get to do a lot that week, so we didn't know what he was gonna make a game time decision, and he was just that. He went out in warm-ups and felt good, felt like he could go. He looked pretty good in warm-ups, but warm-ups are warm-ups, and still got to go in the game and do it. And as he played in the game, he gained more confidence in it, and he was able to sustain and play in that game, which gave him confidence to get more practice reps this last week, and he was able to get more practice reps and then go play. It's hard to play in games without practicing, but he was able to pull it off mainly because of his experience and his time in our system.
Thank you, Coach.